Wednesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports Les Levine, brought to you by McDonald's Restaurants of Northeast Ohio. Busy Wednesday night. Bill Needle is with us. Carmen Policy will be with us momentarily on the phone. If you have questions for Carmen Policy, you can call us at 216-575-0403. Bill, the reason we're laughing, at the last second, Ulysses always walks in and we get awestruck by whatever he's wearing. Now, what are you wearing today? What is that?
South Pole.
South Pole.
It's urban wear. It's urban wear, right?
It's a throwback, right?
No.
Oh, all right. Anyway, Carmen Policy will be joining us soon, but in the meantime, it's baseball season, Bill Needle.
And believe me, the world has changed entirely. It has. Baseball season, and life is different.
Well, there's also a war going on, in case you haven't been reading the papers.
I know, but isn't there reason enough to have baseball to like escape from that?
Hearing some reports that the troops over there really like any news they can get from home, especially about the sports team, about the NCAA tournament.
Of course.
They'll take it.
Of course, yeah. That's. I think it's tonight. The Green Light Letter. I did a piece for Tribe Time that you don't need to watch because you're watching More Sports Les Levine.
That's all
right. The Commissioner of Baseball after Pearl Harbor said, should we do away with baseball? President Roosevelt said, no, right. The troops need it for morale, the people need it for morale, and I got no trouble
believe
with
the
that.
only thing that got changed because of the war was, I think a Rose Bowl game got changed because of the blackouts, got changed to go to Durham, North Carolina. I'll tell you what, we've got Carmen Policy on the line, so let me, he'll understand this. You know, they only have a certain amount of room on the scoreboard to sell ads. I only have a certain amount of time. Let's take a 2-minute break. Carmen, you hang in. We'll get to you in a moment. You're watching More Sports Les Levine, brought to you by McDonald's Restaurants of Northeast Ohio. Yours truly restaurants, 7 great locations, including the new one, and that's at Medina. And of course, they're all over the east side, and it's a family-owned and operated place here in Northeast Ohio since 1981, and great career opportunities in addition to great menu items, which are available all day at all Yours Truly stores. We'll come back with Carmen Policy. Bill Needle is with us. You're watching More Sports Les Levine, brought to you by McDonald's Restaurants of Northeast Ohio. More Sports Les Levine, brought to you by McDonald's Restaurants of Northeast Ohio, and we will say hello to President and CEO of the Cleveland Browns, Carmen Policy. Carmen, how are you?
Fine, Les. Good evening.
Thank you. Bill Needle joins us tonight. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, Bill.
Carmen, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Is it official yet?
You're referring to...
No, the fact that you're going to take the head coaching job at Kansas.
Well, basketball or football?
Well, right now I think just the basketball one's open.
Randy and I have been we've been putting our discussions pretty much to bed, and there's only a couple little details, and then there's a little documentation. I think everything we've done and signed as far as my extension's concerned before the draft.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Before we go on to other things, let me ask you this, because football was faced with this at 9/11 back in 2001, which I believe was on a Thursday, and of course the games went on as scheduled. You got a war here with baseball and all. You always hear that Pete Rozelle always regretted still having games on the Sunday that President Kennedy was buried. Is that something you had always been aware of?
Well, I have heard that Pete Rozelle would have preferred to have foregone playing the games. And as he looked back, I'm not so sure that he felt that his decision was necessarily wrong. I just think that he felt that from a PR standpoint and from the reaction of of a certain member of the populace that they probably could have accomplished what they needed to accomplish within the season and still postpone the games.
Right.
As you know, we did postpone.
Yeah, it was the first week. That's correct. You flip-flopped them.
Yeah, we flip-flopped them. And remember, we were supposed to go to Pittsburgh and play Pittsburgh, and because we flip-flopped them, we were playing Pittsburgh the last game of the year.
Correct.
In Pittsburgh I think it was in January, if I'm not mistaken.
It was,
right, yeah.
And there was part of me that was happy the Browns were playing in January. But unfortunately, it wasn't a playoff situation.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was the first game of the season, flip-flop there. But well, speaking of the playoffs, this had to be a strange year for you, Carmen, because you had the Al Lerner situation throughout the whole season, and at the same time, at the end, there was celebration that you go to the playoffs. So it had to be psychologically for you and the top members who have been with Al Lerner from the beginning, had to be really a tough situation. Good news, bad news.
You hit it right on the head. And on the one hand, we felt so good that we made the playoffs because, and I don't mean to overstate this or appear to be over dramatic in terms of what I'm going to say now, but we really did have a strong sense that we owed it to L to make the playoffs last year. Now, we wanted to do it for ourselves. We had selfish motives. We wanted to do it for competitive reasons. We wanted to do it for the fans and the Cleveland community. We wanted to do it for all the reasons you could imagine. But right there in the middle of all of those desires and all of those reasons was Al Lerner and his memory and knowing what it would have meant to him to make the playoffs and knowing what it would have meant to him to be on schedule, so to speak, and be able to be there when it counted. And then during that Pittsburgh playoff game, I have to tell you, I caught myself actually thinking I'm communicating with him because I envisioned us winning our first playoff game. And again, that's when that bittersweet stuff started coming over me. And I thought, my God, he's not here.
Yeah. Carmen, there's so many attitudes that make up personalities of a football team. Were you able to tell any impact that Al Lerner's struggle against his opponent had an effect on your players and on your coaching staff? Did he serve to inspire you as the road unfolded?
He was an inspiration even at training camp because when he came out and visited us, they saw what was happening. They saw that he was failing.
He was dying.
Getting weaker.
Yeah.
He wasn't able to maintain himself the way he had before, even though he tried, even to the point sometimes of putting himself at risk of falling. And so they sensed that. But I think that the greatest impact, the greatest immediate impact on the team was when they came to the funeral. And they were all there, every coach, every player. And when they entered the synagogue and they sat through the entire service, I'm convinced that took a tremendous toll on everyone.
And you know, the interesting thing about that, Carmen, and I was at that funeral, I don't believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe the name or words Cleveland Browns ever came up. Is that correct?
It only came up once.
Yeah, I really...
That's when Dr. Fred Loop, who's CEO of the Cleveland Clinic, mentioned the Cleveland Browns in connection with Al Lerner's pursuits in life.
Yeah.
But other than that, the team was never mentioned once.
Okay.
And you'll notice no one from the team eulogized.
Right.
And it was, you know, and that's correct.
Okay. You know,
but if you'll remember, we played the Jets that weekend.
Yes.
And somebody pulled me aside from the league because I had to be up in New York earlier. And they said, how's your team going to play this weekend? I said, I have no idea. We're either going to be sorely handicapped by the emotional experience of Al's funeral, or there's going to be a level of inspiration that's going to cause us to play very well. And
right.
By the way, both things occurred. The first half, we went through the first process, and the second half, we were exhilarated through some kind of mystical inspiration.
Yeah, and I think most fans got to see the tape of Butch Davis in the locker room after, and I think everybody was touched by that. Let me go back to what you said, that being on schedule, because I would have, you know, back 5 years ago when you knew you were getting the team, I think most reasonable people would have said you're going to compete for a playoff spot in the third or fourth year, and then you're going to make a run in year 5. You are right on that schedule, although maybe you tried to push it ahead a little bit. Maybe a couple of acquisitions might have been made last year that maybe in the long run wouldn't have been made. But you are right on schedule.
We are on schedule. And, well, Les, you know, yours was one of the first shows that Al and I went on after the league made it clear that we were going to get the team. We were on your show in 1998.
Right.
And then we were on continuously thereafter. And you heard what Al and I said about a schedule, and you summarized it perfectly. I do think that we may have overextended ourselves in free agency the first year, trying to find a way to build some kind of fortress-like offensive line to protect this rookie quarterback that we drafted. And we probably overpaid there. And unfortunately, we suffered that terrible setback with the Orlando Brown.
Right, but the reality is, and in retrospect, it didn't matter what you did year one, did it?
No, it really didn't. And you know what you can do to verify that? Look at the Houston Texans. They had a tremendous advantage. They had you know the math.
Sure.
We had 3 months
Yeah.
from the time we signed the franchise papers until the expansion draft. They had 27 months. They had 2 mock drafts. They had coaches on staff sometimes in certain positions for 2 years in advance. They had an expansion draft that included Pro Bowlers, and they brought big names in from the expansion draft. They were able to do all the things they did, and they're a very good organization, and they were well prepared. Look where they were.
Yeah.
I mean, they
Virtually no different.
you know, it really, you could almost make the argument that there's almost no difference. So
Yeah.
that's your statement is absolutely correct. It wouldn't have mattered, and probably, you know what? Maybe we should have saved a little money and more cap money than cash is what I'm talking
Yes.
about that first year. But we got so excited and so caught up in it, and we started thinking we looked better on paper than we actually were.
Yeah, you know, it's strange to say now, the best thing that happened is you got whipped that opening night against Pittsburgh.
Right.
You didn't feel it at the time, though, I can tell you. Go ahead, Bill.
Carmen, a lot of your reputation with the Niners came from your ability to understand, manipulate, and work with the cap. Has the rest of the league caught up to where you were, and does that make it more difficult to get things done now the way you'd like to get them done because you don't have that much above the rest of the franchises in terms of understanding the finances of it all?
You're absolutely right, Bill. When the cap first came on board, everyone predicted that it was the San Francisco 49ers and the Washington Redskins that would be impacted to the greatest extent. Those 2 franchises would be demolished. And as it turned out, that's how it was intended to, that's the effect it was intended to have. We analyzed it, we studied it, we came up with our exceptions, we came up with a way to deal with keeping a veteran team together, even though we had the highest payroll in the league. And ultimately, others caught on to that. But you know what else caught up to us? And you know what else catches up to everyone? It's the ultimate structure of the cap. You can only beat it for so long, and then it catches up to you. And
what is that, 2-3 years?
I'd say it depends. Well, it depends on how you're built. If you're built with a solid team that's made up primarily of draft picks who are in either their original contract or their renegotiated and extended contract with the team, you can go on much, much longer than if you try to fill a lot of holes with a lot of expensive free agents.
Right.
And that's why Dallas was in such good shape when the cap first came on board. It was a team that was built with those wonderful draft picks from the Herschel Walker trade.
Right.
And it was a team built with draft picks that were very high because the team wasn't very good at the time. And they were young under their initial contracts when they were quicking, and they were able to compete at a level that no one else was able to compete because their payroll was so well in line, and yet their players were stellar.
And then, of course, then you got to break it down, which is what they've ultimately done in the last couple of years.
That's correct. Now look what happened.
Yeah. Carmen Policy is with us. We got him for another 12, 15 minutes or so if you'd like to talk to him, 216-575-0403. Carmen, I don't think it's been announced officially, but you talk about being on track here. Is it fair to say that we'll probably have a home Monday night football game this year, or can't that be given out yet?
Well, you know, Les, I knew I was going to be on your show tonight, so I called the league office trying to snoop around.
You are so full of baloney. Go ahead. Yeah.
I have found out the following. The schedule will be announced tomorrow. I don't know if they're doing it intentionally just to tweak me or if they're really trying to honor the request of the networks and PR department of the NFL and not let it get out before tomorrow afternoon. But they're not telling me. But I have to tell you this. I really, really believe we're going to be on Monday night. I'm cautiously optimistic that we're going to have a Monday night home game.
Well, good, because they've been nothing but blowouts the last year and a half or so. So maybe you can continue that trend. Hey, is that a concern for the league that Monday night has they're trying to get competitive games and meaningful games, but in the meantime, they haven't had a good one in a long time?
Well, they've had some good ones last year. There were some very good ones last year. Where they were having a problem is especially when you get later in the year, and where you have, like last year, the last Monday night game of the year had no bearing whatsoever on the playoffs, and everybody was wondering if the 49ers were even going to play their players. Now, are you aware of what we've done this year?
Well, you have some options, but I think that's a problem for CBS and Fox, who might lose some marquee games, but go ahead.
No, well, we haven't been able to get the flexible schedule that we're looking for, and that's for the same reason you just stated, because CBS and Fox don't want to lose these hallmark games. We will not play a Monday night game the last weekend.
Oh, okay. Well, that also because if it was a playoff contending team, it gives them one less day.
You're exactly right.
Right.
It's a competitive issue as well as a network issue. We will have.
How the Gamblers going to make up on Monday, though?
Pardon me?
I'm sorry.
What was that?
Very good. You denied hearing me say the word Gamblers. How the Gamblers going to make up their week on Monday then?
Well, Thursday night will be. There will be a Thursday night game prior to the last weekend.
Good.
So we're hoping to really get this thing moving in a way that's
all right. So we'll know tomorrow night then.
Yes.
Okay. Now, Butch Davis has not called me in a while, but in case he doesn't call me, will you just mention that I have Tim Couch bobblehead and Tim Couch jersey on the set here?
Are you sure?
Am I sure I have it?
Yes.
Yeah.
What are you getting at, Les?
No, in case anybody asks my opinion, I'm just letting you know.
Great. I'll tell you, this is, everybody's talking about controversy. I see it as fun. I see it as great. And Bill, you know where I come from. I come from that environment where you have a Hall of Fame quarterback playing ahead of
one of the great stories.
Soon-to-be Hall of Fame quarterback.
One of the great stories in NFL history.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it was now as between the two players, the sparks were flying, and it was sometimes very difficult to manage and handle, but it was great competitively for the team.
Carmen,
these two players, Les, are handling it great.
Doesn't it really depend on the professionalism and the attitude of the remaining players, but to the degree that it will affect them? And it's really something that we can talk about on Sports Talk till we're blue in the face, but if you have remaining professionals on your team, it's not going to matter who's playing?
That's right. I think you're right.
Tell me about the rest of your roster, and how does this roster stack up against what could very well be a very hot Sports Talk topic?
Right. I think that the way I think our players are, as long as the players feel that both of these athletes have a chance to compete, and that the best quarterback will ultimately be playing, I think they're fine with however it turns out. And you have to understand this about our players. They like both quarterbacks. Tim Couch is a tough, you've seen him on the field, so you know how tough he is there. But he's tough, and he's accessible. He's kind of a real guy's guy. So they like him. And they know we wouldn't have been in the playoffs without Tim Couch last year.
Right.
They also like Kelly. And they also feel that this guy has these talents. And you know what? Doesn't everybody root for the underdog?
Absolutely.
And wouldn't it be a great story for Kelly, a good guy as he is, to come out of nowhere and never have started a game in the NFL before he came to Cleveland? But hey, there's a lot to be proven here by both.
Right. All right. That being said, you're going to have to have Butch explain how he's going to go with a 6-5 defense without any linebackers.
A detail. That's a mere detail.
6 linemen and 5 defensive backs. It's a new trend that'll set the NFL on its ear.
Well, we'll get some linebackers. First of all, I don't know what's happening with Jameer quite yet, because he's finishing up some trips he's made, and a lot will depend on what the teams he's visited will do in the next few days as to whether or not he comes back. And if there are offers made that are just beyond where we're willing to go, then unfortunately we'll lose him.
Yeah.
But if not, I think we're going to make a good effort to make him comfortable and get him back home.
Speaking of potentially losing him, with Orlando Brown signing on with Baltimore, was there any interest in getting him back, or was there too much stuff going on between the organization and him that it was best for both sides to not have him back?
Well, I think it was best for both sides that we not revisit it. Plus, I think that were pretty satisfied with Ryan Tucker, and Verbis kind of settled in at the left tackle, and it just didn't make a lot of sense. And I wish him all the luck in the world, but you talk about distractions. I think bringing him back on board would have really caused some severe distractions.
Yeah, unless you knew he'd be an All-Pro, then you live through those distractions.
Then you know what? You
Let
tolerate
bygones
a
be
lot.
bygones.
You tolerate a lot when you're dealing with that. It's just like anything else in life. When talent and production are there, it causes you to be willing to spend more money on aspirin to suffer through headaches.
Let me revisit the ownership situation for a second, because my feeling has been always, Carmen, that I know there's reasons why you came to Cleveland. One of them, your roots in Youngstown, and your time was up at San Francisco. But obviously, your relationship with Al Lerner was the reason. And obviously, at the end of last year, personally, everybody would have understood if you walked away or thought about walking away. So my guess is you've got to be totally satisfied with what you see in Randy Lerner.
Well, you're right in everything you said, and
I've been right all night.
You have been right. I'm impressed, Les. And we haven't even talked about this stuff ahead of time. But the bottom line is, I rushed to judgment, and I just assumed that things were so good with Al, and he was so special, that there was no way that we were going to be able to recapture an atmosphere where I was going to feel comfortable enough to be able to work instinctively as I do and move forward. And I was wrong. I have to tell you, Randy Lerner came on board, and it's not something he gained in a couple months. It's talent and it's character that he's possessed all along. I just never saw it, and I probably never saw it because I was there as his father's guy, and I've never seen him in the position that he's now in.
There's also a strong facial resemblance. Do you have to do a double take every once in a while?
No, I don't. But I'll tell you, when I do a double take, when I hear him analyzing a problem or sitting through a meeting with us, and lately he's come up with some funny one-liners, and I've warned him. I says, you know what's going to happen, don't you? If you keep coming up with those, everybody's going to expect it and expect it for the rest of your life.
Right.
And but he has been excellent. Do you have a minute?
I got I got as long as you have.
Well, let me tell you. We're at that league meeting. He shows up, his first league meeting. He's 41 years old. How do you think most 41-year-old guys who have plenty of money in the bank and who now are totally in control of an NFL team, totally in control, how do you think they'd react? I mean, I think they'd
I'd react by asking where the best golf course is, but that's just me.
Well, he didn't ask that, and his whole approach was, in so many words, the NFL is very special. I feel very privileged to be here. My father is the one responsible for this team being in our family. It's a matter of holding the team in trust for the Cleveland community. I'm going to earn my position as an owner, and I want to be one of the best owners in the NFL. So,
well, you couldn't script it better than that.
How are you going to beat that?
No, because to be honest, Carmen, there was some word had gotten out at around that time that maybe he wasn't interested in continuing on, and maybe would divest himself of it, but. Because he was such a private person, and of course, the last year everything's been private in that situation. But I think that's good to hear for Cleveland Browns fans.
Oh, he loves the Browns. He was an avid fan as a youngster. He's an avid fan now. But the nice thing about him is he has another life too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a lovely family. Just had another baby boy.
Right.
And he's into art. He loves art, and so he's got here's a guy who lives and breathes football, who also has a passion for art, and I think it's a great balance.
Yeah. Now I know that Al was reluctant to sell naming rights to the stadium, although there's obviously an MB&A presence. In a recent column with Tony Grossi, there was some talk of maybe getting it changed to Alfred Lerner Stadium. Any possibility?
No, I think what that was a reference to Alfred Lerner Field.
Oh.
At Cleveland Brown Stadium.
Okay.
But, I mean, that was something somebody had suggested, and it was brought up to him, and I think it hit him kind of cold, and he said it was just something that would have to be thought about. But he's not at a point where he's thinking of making any decisions along those lines. And, of course, he'll talk it over with the family, and I just don't think they've given that any consideration at this point.
Yeah. All right. Just have a couple of more minutes. So let me talking about the league meetings. I was surprised nothing was done on the on the sudden death playoffs, although that is coming up for review again. Is that correct?
That's correct. And what's really going to happen, I think, is this. I think they saw a lot of merit in Butch Davis's proposal to...
about the challenge?
I'm sorry, I beg your pardon. Butch Davis's proposal was on the
extra challenge, if they're right.
Yeah, I apologize.
That's
I
okay.
misstated that. What happened on the sudden death situation was, as they started talking about it, everybody came in with a different idea. And they said, yeah, we should do this. And yes, we should. Now, if you asked around the room, should we do something with sudden death in terms of our overtime situation? Probably the vast majority of owners would say yes. The problem was coming up with what should we do? And you had suggestions as much as putting the ball on the team with possession's 25-yard line. No kickoff. Let them start from there. You also had suggestions of kicking off from the 40-yard line so that run backs aren't as prominent and it doesn't sway the opportunity of the team with the first possession to win. Then you had the double possession suggestion, but not to have it be confused with the college program. I mean, there were for every person who felt there should be a change, there was a different take on what the change should be.
Carmen,
that's why it got nowhere.
Carmen, are you able to forge a coalition and go about the business of getting the proper number of votes to go ahead and make some sort of change? Or is it actually 30 different ideas, or are there clumps of similarities?
Well, I would say that there are several clumps. And this is going to take a lot of work on the part of the competition committee to have them come up as a committee with a unified presentation, because they're not unified at all. When the committee's not unified, I assure you that the possibility of getting unity amongst the membership is very, very remote.
I've got a new one. You want to be a hero? I'll give you my idea.
Yes, sir.
All right. When they went to overtime, whenever that was, not long after that, they adopted the two-point conversion. The two-point conversion is great when the game is on the line and a coach has to make a decision. It's not so great when you use it when you're down 23 points or something and you need more points. So I say let's get rid of the overtime completely, and now if the score is 17-10 and my team scores a touchdown with 10 seconds left to make it 17-16, let's see how big my things are here, and I got to go for the win or the loss.
Well,
now, if you want excitement, you'll get it there.
Oy.
We'll fight about this. Carmen, Les and I will fight over this one once you and he and I are done talking, because he's full of it here.
Well, instant replay is going to be interesting, and that's where Butch Davis's proposal will come in, because we have to vote instant replay in again next year.
Right. It's still, you can't make any changes now, but you can after next year.
Right.
All right. Hey, Carmen, thank you for joining us this afternoon. We appreciate it, and we'd like to do it again at your convenience, okay?
Thank you, gentlemen. I enjoyed it, too.
All right, Carmen, have a good one.
Bye now.
Thank you. Carmen Policy, CEO of and president of the Cleveland Browns.
For another 5 years.
5 years. Good for him. Good for him. All right, 216-575-0403 is the number. If you'd like to talk with Bill and I, we got all kinds of stuff going on. Baseball season back underway, and we'll continue in a moment. Port Royal Cigars, that's located in Solon. After a victory, I'm sure that Red Auerbach will be lighting up a cigar from Port Royal Cigars in Solon on Route 43, right next to McDonald's. You'd save 10% on box discounts, over 500 boxes on display from all over the world. We'll come back in a moment. Bill Needle with us. Thanks to Carmen Policy. There's Tim Couch. You're watching More Sports and Les Levine, brought to you by McDonald's Restaurants of Northeast Ohio. Couple of pretty good ball players throughout that whole, everybody's good there. Luke Appling, Hall of Famer, Bobby Avila, MVP for the Indians in 1954. Don Sutton, Reggie Smith, I've been working on the railroad, 1947, and Bill Romanowski celebrating birthdays today. 216-575-0403 is the number. Tasty pizza with Lenten specials throughout Lent. $6.99 each and every day. Yeah, why would they have them in
Lenten
August?
specials around the calendar if you want them.
Well, okay.
You can get them.
You can get them, but in the meantime, up until Easter, you can get them at Tasty Pizza. $6.99 codfish, as well as French fries and coleslaw for just $6.99. Mayfield and Richmond, where they've been since 1958. A&C Auto Parts. Now, Mike was upset with me because in the Poor Man's Sweet 16, he got stuck with a bad team, Marquette.
Oh, I'll bet he's
Now
mad.
he's not upset anymore. Can you blame him?
So did you ask him? Did you say you still want him, or did you take him away from
No,
him?
he's there. No. He's got it. He said, all right, I'll live with it. Live with it? I hope he wins the whole darn thing, because then I win my pool. Anyway, ANC Auto Parts, 9 acres of cars, trucks, and vans, and they've got to have the part you need at the price you want to pay. 216-575-0403. Let's go to a call or 2 or 3, and then we'll talk Spolts. Hello, Marlo. Marlo.
Hello.
Where have you been, babe?
Oh, just busy.
How's that love life going?
My love life's going good.
Good.
Did you
Oh,
hear that,
that's
Bill?
great.
She goes, my love life is good.
It's very good.
Good for you.
Is it anything to do with us?
No, not this time.
Okay.
No, she said it was good.
Oh, okay. This one you did on your own.
This one I did on my own.
Good for you.
But if I ever have problems, then I'll, definitely
Well,
contact
you've come to the
Susan.
right
You'll
place.
know who not to call.
How long has this one been going on?
A couple months.
And
It's
you found
new.
time.
It's
And you
new.
found time to call us?
Well, I haven't talked to you guys, and I like to, catch up with you and talk to you every
And
couple
besides,
months.
it's baseball season.
Yes,
and
it is.
You know
And
that
it's
we
baseball season, exactly.
Right.
Yes.
One of
That
her
was our
criteria,
bond.
yeah,
That
was
was our
a
bond.
guy needed to like baseball.
Yeah, yes, definitely.
All right.
I won't.
so-
I will not date anybody who is not a baseball fan.
Me neither. How about you, Bill?
know. Absolutely not.
So I assume both of you guys are going to be down there on opening day, right?
Good
You betcha.
assumption.
I'm going to be there.
Well,
Let's meet.
I know.
we don't know what you look like. You know what we look like.
I know what you look like. I'm going to be sitting in the I actually have some good seats. I'm sitting in the mezzanine behind, kind of like by center field over there.
Les has good seats too. They're in the press box.
Yeah,
No,
I
actually,
know.
for this game, I got him behind the Indians' dugout. That I pay for.
Well, where are you sitting, Bill?
I'll be in the press box.
Well,
But we could meet. I mean, are you
Before
going to
the
be there with your...
game, you're in the club seat
Yeah,
section.
oh,
with
you know
Fox,
where we are?
Fox
We
Sports
are in the
Net.
club section. You know where they have that bar, like first
but
base?
she won't be able to get into that elitist
I
place.
can't get into the club seats because I don't have
Come to the door, and I'll meet you there. I'll be there.
Wait, where at? Which door?
The door to the club section, where the behind first.
I thought you had to have tickets to go up the elevator.
Yeah,
there.
it's a problem. Yeah. Well, we'll have to figure out something.
All right.
You
well,
talk
anyway.
to Les. I'll think of a way.
All right.
But anyway, I just wanted to,
All right.
Talk to
We
you
appreciate you
guys
checking
and-
in. We're always concerned about our past, our past lives here.
Well, everything's good, and I guess maybe I'll run into you guys Monday. You never know.
All right, Marla. Marla, thank you very much.
All right.
It's not Marla. It's Marlowe, isn't it?
Yes,
That's a wine. Oh, that's Merlot. All right, baseball season, greatest time of the year.
absolutely, absolutely. It's changed. But starting Monday, it was
Yeah.
just a relief. It was like all of the anticipation, all the tension. It's like it's baseball season,
Right.
and boy, were they bad. But it's okay.
I'm not in mid-season form last night. I have not realized that I can go home and watch the game yet tonight. I'm not in that yet. But as soon as I get home, it'll be fine.
I had withdrawal yesterday.
Oh, no game.
I was no
After
game.
all these games in a row, no game.
game?
I got the MLB package. By the way, if you're a sports fan, this is not a commercial. It is a commercial. Call Adelphia, get the MLB package. If you're a baseball fan, you got to have it. Now, if you're a fan of losing weight, if you're an Atkins dieter, if you're a diabetic, you got to go to the Sugar Freedom store. And people say, well, you can't eat food without sugar, without Bill, I have chocolate fudge from Sugar Freedom. Here, you take off
I'll break a little
whatever
sliver.
you want.
An unsolicited
Real food, peanut brittle,
fudge.
spaghetti that you wouldn't think, because it's not white. I mean, that's the white stuff is the stuff that's not good for you. Okay,
It's far
listen,
smaller
we have
piece
not
than I
discussed it.
usually
You haven't tasted it. I haven't told you what to say. How close is that to real fudge? It's close to real fudge. You don't know. There's no sugar. There's
If you
no
didn't
sodium.
tell, I wouldn't know. If you,
You
didn't
would-
tell
yeah,
me, I wouldn't
That's correct. You can get it. You can,
know. Oh, unsolicited,
yeah.
uncompensated. I am not compensated for this endorsement.
Well, not for this endorsement. You're highly compensated for being here.
I'm high. I'm high on this fudge.
There you go. That and more. They've got a crunch bar that's unbelievable. And one of the things is you want sweets if you're on these diets. Well, you think you're having them. It's
Holy
terrific.
moly.
Go to Sugar Freedom Store in the Greens of Lyndhurst at Mayfield.
Of course,
and
if you
Brainerd.
eat a whole big hunk like this,
that you
it's
don't want to do. But moderation. We'll take a break. Come on back. 216-575.
not in my life.
Look at the moderate chunk you just took.
Immoderate.
Back in a
good.
moment. You're watching more. Now you're not going to spit that out when you're done, are you?
No.
I didn't think so. You're watching More Sports and Les Levine, brought to you by McDonald's Restaurants of Northeast Ohio. for a How Come Quickie. Bill, how come Dorothy, Toto, and Roy Williams probably won't be in Kansas anymore? Bill doesn't know. He's eating the chocolate fudge from Sugar Freedom. Send quickies to our email address, MS&LL@AOL.com or P.O. Box 22715, Cleveland, Ohio, 44122. Now, for you people who are not on the Atkins diet, although they have food for you there too, if you ask specially, they will be happy to take care of it. Mike and Bernie will do that. But Sokolowski's University, and absolutely the best place in town to go for lunch.
Saw your brothers there last Thursday.
Yeah, they go there all the time. They love the place. They keep them, absolutely. It's their favorite place. Sokolowski's University Inn, 80th anniversary. Established back in 1923, open 11 to 3 Monday through Friday, and dinner on Friday and Saturday night. So, Bill,
Stuff is really good.
how much is...
Do you mind if I lick the tray? Would it be all right if I lick these little shards of the fudge?
It's good stuff, unsolicitedly. Yeah, you didn't fake it.
Once I got started, I couldn't stop.
Yeah. Okay, baseball season, you're doing the pregame shows on Fox Sports Net a half hour prior to the game.
Yep.
And I didn't see it, but I understand you had a great one on the evolution of Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
Very
that was
kind.
one of our first How Come Quickies. How come you sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game when you're already there? The beauty of the thing is the guy who wrote it never went to a ball game at that point.
The first baseball game that he went to was 2 years after the Hall of Fame opened. 1941, he went to a Dodgers-Giants game.
When did he write it?
He wrote it in 1908.
That's unbelievable.
And they sang it all the way through, and he wrote it in 1908 and went to his first game in 1941.
Did he know they were singing it? Did somebody tell him?
If a tree falls in the forest...
Well, that's what I mean. If he wasn't there, how could
sure he did.
Yeah, he did, and he still didn't go for 30 years.
And what he ended up doing, and you know how TV is, you got time constraints. He ended up funding a Little League baseball program in Southern California after he retired, and it's like a dynamite program. He endowed it with fields and uniforms and equipment. Yeah, it's very
His name,
cool.
give me the name
Jack
again.
Norworth.
Jack Norwood.
Also wrote, I'm so boring, what a nerd. Shine On Harvest Moon.
Really?
He wrote that.
Which one came first? The chicken or no? Which one came first?
Baseball.
Baseball was first.
Yeah, I wrote a song.
What?
I just a short one.
What?
Ta-da! I wrote that.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I wrote Raindrops Keep Falling on My Shoulders.
He just missed. Did I
I
steal your punchline?
No.
Oh.
I mean, yeah, that's the unsaid punchline.
Oh.
Came up with a formula for 8 up. Yeah, it's go on forever.
But enough
I
about
digress.
you. What do I think of you?
He wrote Shine On Harvest Moon.
Yeah, which now we're really old. I mean, that's even my grandmother was old. But anyway, this guy.
Shayna Alexander, the reportress.
Shayna, you ignorant slut.
No, you know who I mean. In real life, Shayna Alexander.
Yeah, she was the one from Point Counterpoint.
Correct. Her father wrote Happy Days Are Here Again.
As long as we were doing baseball, okay, that's very cool. Ernie Harwell wrote 3 songs that were recorded by Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels.
No.
My Right Hand to God, I Swear on a Stack of Bibles.
Stood there like a house by the side of the road.
I don't think it was Devil with a Blue Dress, Blue Dress, Blue Dress. But Ernie Harwell wrote a number of songs that were recorded by Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels.
Any of them that I would know? That
Little
anybody
Latin
would know?
Loopy Loo. I have no idea. I just know this. I know this crap.
Were they big sellers in Detroit because it was Ernie, or didn't it?
Well, because it was Mitch Ryder.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Ernie Harwell has to be one of the great characters of the game.
The best.
And he's out of it this year.
He's the best.
Yeah.
He retired on his own.
Yes, he did. All right,
Wouldn't it turn out if Ernie Harwell was like Jesus or something? I mean, after you look back at all this is not sacrilegious. This is not Madonna video here.
Okay.
This is, I mean, wouldn't it be something if like Ernie Harwell and I've spent a lot of time talking to him, nicest man in the world.
Yeah.
Never has a bad word. Wouldn't it be something if it turned out he was like a divine...
He's the one we've all been waiting for?
Yeah, and he's been here the whole time, and it was all about baseball.
I'm getting scared.
Why? Somebody's going to call up?
No, I think that's...
Some fundamentalist?
No, I'm just trying to think if it's true.
I mean, how do you know?
Well, I guess I don't.
That's right. He embodied everything they talked about.
All right. Anyway, more importantly, speaking of enough about you, how about me? They have the Les Levine burger platter now at Golden Coins.
You know, I was going to go down there and see you guys.
Yeah, I was waiting for you. We had a great
Gauguin
time. We had a great time.
I got so caught up in the game.
We met Ladder Boy and Halle Berry and all those nicknamed people down there.
Oh, really?
It's great. Pete knows everybody in the world that he knows has a nickname.
Il Postino.
Yeah,
Including
unbelievable. Golden Coins, this is a great place, not just a sports bar, it's a restaurant, and it's located on Mayfield Road right at Warrensville Center. We'll come back in a moment. 216
More fudge.
Elmer Fudge. More Sports and Les Levine continues, brought
else
to
you
you
got?
by McDonald's
What's some of that
Restaurants of Northeast Ohio. You want peanut brittle? First Choice Furniture, located in Menor, 440-205-1500. Check out Alex's products on the web at www.firstchoicefurniture.com. You're not even going to know it's used. That's how good it is, but you'll save up to 80% on workstations, desk sets. This is all for the office: chairs, filing cabinets, conference tables, reception areas, and much more. And a 100% price guarantee. They'll meet or beat any competitor's price. You'll also get free delivery from First Choice Furniture. 216-575-0403. Now Bill has dug into the peanut brittle.
It's good. It's really good.
It is
You'll
good.
like it. Have
You will
some.
like
You did have some. Have some. It's
Yeah,
good.
I did.
Okay.
Sugar Freedom, that's in the Greens of Lyndhurst. Bill Needle with us. Our thanks to Carmen Policy, who joined us earlier. I made a statement last night, and I got a couple nasty emails on it, and I didn't mean it, and I knew as I said it somebody would take it wrong, and I even prefaced it, and what's the opposite of prefaced it? Whatever. I said it before and I said it after.
Postscripted it.
We are getting, when we're watching what's going on in the Middle East with all of the reporters there and all the networks out trying to outduel each other, when you watch, war is hell. We don't really need to see what's going on, to be honest with you. And we're watching it on a minute-to-minute basis, and we're seeing some nasty stuff going on. Now, that being said, I'm not equating the war to baseball, but people take a game like Monday, try to overanalyze it and put it over 162 games. Bottom line is you got to take a look at baseball, and especially this Indians team, over a long course of things, and you can't go inning by inning to make value judgments.
Okay, that's fine. So what you're telling me is two things. Number one is that you had a lot of people call
I
to
said I
talk
was
about how...
disrespectful. They thought I was disrespectful by even putting war and baseball in the same thing. My point is that
Yeah.
we're being... You've never had coverage like this as a war. War is the worst thing in the whole world, and if you watch it on a minute-by-minute basis, you go up and down or up and down.
In a real discussion, in a discussion that you would have over dinner or drinks or something, I'm not so sure that media overkill of the unfortunate circumstances in Iraq isn't as disrespectful to the war. I mean, they have made this into a TV show.
Of course, and then you say, hey, it's not going to be over at 10 o'clock. Let's go on to the next
They
station.
have made this into a TV show,
Okay.
and I'm not so sure that this incessant blather about it isn't more disrespectful than anything.
Okay, so you're with me on that,
Well,
I think.
I
mean, that's how you get a Peter Arnett thing and a Geraldo Rivera, because they're all over trying to outdo each other. There are times when nothing is happening, and again, not being disrespectful to that. Baseball, there's a lot of things that in a course of a 9-inning or 13-inning game, nothing is happening.
I guess I can't even connect the two.
Okay, well, the
I
point
can't.
is you can't look at Monday's game and say, oh, they'll never win a game the rest of the year.
Okay.
That kind of a thing.
And-
because you have ups and downs, as you do, unfortunately, in the war situation. And you got to look at this thing over a month at a time or 30 games at a time. I got people who came up to me in the last 2 days saying they'll be lucky to win 15, 20 games this year.
Well,
So that's an absurd statement.
How were they able to walk up to you with their heads up their butts? How were they able to find their way? I hope they weren't driving.
My point exactly.
Yeah, hope they weren't driving.
My point exactly. All right, we're way behind time. Let's take one final break. We'll come on back. If you'd like to get in, we got a line open, 216-575-0403. Bill, you were in on the Sports Club last week?
Loved it. Let me do this.
Yeah.
Okay, the Sports Club. When is it on? Do you do the
We do it from
specifics?
noon to 1 at the arcade, East 4th Street, between Euclid and Superior. Then you hear it on 1300 WERE 505 to 6.
Now, here's why it's great. Back in the days before multinational corporations took over the radio, you actually had people with brains in their head talking about sports. They weren't talking about themselves, and they weren't searching furtively to come up with some kind of gimmick to separate them from the rest of the other fat-ass blowhards that talk about sports here in Cleveland on the radio. Listen to the Sports Club.
Listen to these fat-ass blowhards.
Listen to the Sports Club. It's different. It's not the same old, same old. I listen to it myself. and I think you ought to give it a shot.
All right. Well, you're part
It's
of the
underground.
You're
it's
in the
alternative.
rotation. You're in
it's
the rotation.
alternative sports talk
All
is
right,
what it is.
It's yours truly, Les Levine, Dan Coughlin, Mark Schrader, Bill Needle, John Telich, and a whole bunch of other people.
It's alternative sports talk. It's
There you go.
underground sports talk.
There
It's
you go.
not your establishment sports talk.
All right. Lyndhurst Luggage and Shoe Repair, formerly Eastgate Luggage for over 37 years. Bill, I actually went and bought lots of luggage at this place, and I checked a whole bunch of other places. I knew what the price should have been. I was surprised that it was much lower when I got it at Lyndhurst Luggage. What? You're laughing.
You bought lots of luggage.
Yes, I did, as a present
Oh, okay.
for somebody. Or so I can go to my lucrative West Coast offer. One of the two. We'll take a break. More sports and less. You know what they have coming in? They ordered chess. This is neat. Checkers sets with like little helmets, like Ohio State versus Michigan. So if you're a checker player, you play Ohio State versus Michigan. And they have chess sets with like Sammy Sosa and Barry Bonds and guys like this. It's kind of neat. We'll take one more break. Come on back in a moment. More sports and Les Levine brought to you by McDonald's
If the
Restaurants.
chess set is all Sammy Sosa, how do you tell the castles from the horses?
The big. Tomorrow night, Hal Lebovitz, the guy in the know. Then we toss him out the last segment of the show and bring in David Geyer for Golf Inside and Out. That's tomorrow night. You can see us Monday through Friday from 6 until 7 with replays at 11 o'clock here on Adelphia Digital 15. And Horvat's Pub, that's at East 222nd Street in Euclid, right just to the north of I-90. Good place to unwind on a weekend after work, and good conversation down there. It's almost like you could have your own sports show down there. You sit there and everybody's got an opinion.
But before there was a sports talk show everywhere you turned
They had
around,
bars.
you would go to a bar and you would drink and talk about sports.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
very
and then
cool.
some guys got their own shows.
What a
because of that.
concept.
Bill Needle with
Okay, Ricardo
Yes.
Rodriguez
Yes.
tonight, right?
Yes, yes.
I hope I get home in time to see enough.
Hopefully he'll still be in there when you
Well,
get back.
I mean, this is a guy who has literally patterned himself after the Martinez brothers.
Right.
And I think it's terrific. I think it is absolutely great that there's a guy here that is not afraid to dust them off.
Right. And he threw it inside to Barry Larkin. And Larkin, in the exhibition game, I saw that pitch. It wasn't even, it was inside, but it wasn't.
These guys want to lean over. They want
They
to
want to lean over, and they're
yeah.
disrespected, and they want to come out. There's nothing wrong with that pitch, and I'm not just saying it because it was a Cleveland guy versus the opponent. Absolutely, if you take that pitch away from a pitcher, you may as well just let him put the ball on a tee.
You ask anybody that ever calls us up and talks about they don't play the game the way they used to. You know what? I've been rewatching Ken Burns' baseball, that long-time
Right.
film thing, just
Right.
to get ready for the season. You would be astounded at the number of batters that talked about pitchers, all the great ones. Alex Grover Cleveland, Walter Johnson, Christy Mann, knock them on their ass. They would knock them on their cans.
Right.
And, let's do it. It's not, this home
Who
run
can you
hitters
think of
thing.
in our lifetime? I think of Early Wynn. I think of Bob Gibson. Not sure I can think of too many others.
Sal Magley. That's why they call him
Yeah,
the barber.
We only got about a minute. Let me throw this at you. When you talk about the all-time great baseball players, I put on my list guys I never saw before. Babe Ruth, people like that, and Ty Cobb. Never saw the guy play. 10 years from now, if we rewrite our list, does Warren Spahn, the greatest left-hander, get replaced by Randy Johnson on that list? On your list? You got to have one left-handed
Gotta have one
pitcher.
left-handed
Is it going to be? I mean, Randy Johnson's been the dominant guy.
I'll argue with you for the rest of the minute.
Well-
Warren Spahn didn't win a game till after the war.
Yeah,
he was 26, 27 years old.
Right, he wins
and
363.
Then he won 363 games.
Randy Johnson's up in his, what is he, 40, what is he now?
Maybe 41?
41 or 4, I think he'll be 42 in the season. Now, he got blasted the other night, but
You know why Johnson doesn't get the props? Because he's a physical freak. That's why. Because he's
Randy
6'10".
Johnson.
Yes.
Yeah, not Walter Johnson.
No. Randy Johnson's a physical freak.
yeah. Well, he should, though. I mean, I think I don't know what he'll wind up with, but I would think you'd have to say he's more dominant than Warren Spahn was. Although you make a great point about Spahn getting better as he got older.
Clement's going to win 300 this year, and that's
Yeah.
the last 300 game winner you're ever going to see.
Maybe Maddox, but probably not.
Last
we got to
300
go.
game.
We
Bye.
did it. Thank you,
Always
sir.
a pleasure.
Bill Needle, enjoy him on the Tribe Time before Indians games on Fox Sports Net. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Hal Lebovitz with us and David Geyer of Golf Inside and Out. And our thanks to Carmen Policy for joining us earlier. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.